There'll never be another for me.
Beautiful hair at a beautiful price.
Add pizzazz with a mix and match wardrobe today.
And now we will move again for an America that is strong and resolute in the world, strong and big-hearted at home. And when I said I want a kinder, gentler nation, I meant it, and I mean it.
President-elect George Bush, his promise for the next 4 years. Good morning. This is Wednesday, November 9th, and I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
I'm Harry Smith. Welcome to CBS This Morning. Votes are still coming in.
They're still coming in as we speak. As you may know, George Bush won an overwhelming victory in the electoral vote last night. The vice president did very well in every part of the country. And CBS News now estimates that he leads Michael Dukakis 426 to 112 electoral votes, now with Illinois just being counted and given to George Bush. But in the popular vote, it was closer. 54% to 46%, with 97% of the vote tabulated. This morning, the new Bush administration, the new Congress, and what the country can expect in the next 4 years. And in just a couple minutes, Bush campaign manager Lee Atwater will be joining us.
Also this morning, we're going to see what is going to be next for the Democrats after the caucus defeat. Jesse Jackson and Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton will be with us. Senator Joe Biden is going to join us for a look at how the new president and the new Congress are going to get along. And writer Sally Quinn will tell us what changes we can expect in the Washington social world after 8 Reagan years. Now, with details on the election, here's Charles Osgood in CBS News election headquarters. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Harry, Kathleen, and good morning, everybody. President-elect George Bush says he will begin forming his new administration today. He'll have his first opportunity to tell the nation about it at a news conference later this morning in Houston. Mr. Bush built his election victory on a sweep of the solid South. On top of that, he won enough major states elsewhere for a landslide in the electoral vote. California fell into the Bush column this morning, and so did the state of Illinois. Mr. Bush celebrated with his family and with his supporters last night in Houston. Frank Courier reports that the victory party was marked by a call for national unity.
President-elect George Bush extended his hand to the American people and to Congress last night in a peace gesture to heal the wounds left by the most negative presidential campaign in modern history.
A campaign is a disagreement, and disagreements divide. But an election is a decision, and decisions clear the way for harmony and peace.
With his wife Barbara and their extended family, Bush vowed to reach out and work constructively with a Democratic-controlled Congress. Unifying the nation is, according to his senior staff, the #1 priority for the transition government.
I think that healing process started tonight with what George Bush said here. I think it'll occur quickly. I think the country wants to move behind the man they've elected president.
George Bush is now the first sitting vice president to win the presidency since Martin Van Buren 152 years ago. Calling his opponent Michael Dukakis the most decent man I've ever met, Bush joked about one of his own losses at his comeback primary victory last winter.
And one other thing. Once in days that were a little darker, I made a promise, and now I'll keep it. Thank you, New Hampshire.
It was New Hampshire that brought George Bush back from political oblivion, and with some political favors perhaps in order, the governor there, John Sununu, is among the many names being mentioned as candidates for new cabinet-level posts or as White House chief of staff. Charlie?
Frank, how soon may we begin to get some picture of the makeup of the Bush administration?
Well, Bush aides are hinting that it may come very soon, as early as today. And, of course, that would happen probably, well, very soon. And at 10:15 Eastern Time, Mr. Bush holds his first presidential news conference. And it's very likely that some of that transition government will begin to emerge then. He will head on then to Andrews Air Force Base in Washington and meet up with his new Vice President-elect, Dan Quayle, and they'll attend a Rose Garden ceremony at the White House this afternoon.
Thank you, Frank. Frank Courier with the President-elect in Houston. Michael Dukakis says he'll be back at his desk this morning in the State House, back as full-time governor of Massachusetts. Bill Whitaker reports on how Dukakis handled defeat last night. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Charlie. It was more than a year and a half of hard, sometimes bitter campaigning for Michael Dukakis, but last night in defeat, he said it's now time to put the divisiveness of this campaign behind us. After calling to congratulate George Bush, Michael Dukakis, surrounded by his family, came before supporters in Boston and called on them to back the new president and vice president-elect.
He will be our president, and we'll work with him. This nation faces major challenges ahead, and we must work together.
But even in defeat, Dukakis says he intends to fight for the social programs, health insurance, education, housing, that form the core of his campaign.
And we're going to continue to fight with you and with the American people so that every citizen of this country can be a full shareholder in the American dream. Thank you all very, very much.
Campaign aides say Dukakis' message was getting through in the final days of the campaign, but in the end, they say, voters opted to stick with the familiar.
The American people voted for continuity today. The perceived prosperity that we have and the country being at peace, I think that's what people voted for.
Now, Sasso said that even yesterday, the campaign thought that it was still possible for Dukakis to pull an upset. Charlie?
Well, is there any admission up there that maybe this was at least in part Dukakis' fault, that he might have done something differently with different results?
Well, Charlie, everyone here knows that there's going to be a lot of finger-pointing, a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking. But the campaign is saying that they could have done some things differently, most notably responding more forcefully and more quickly to the negative charges made by Bush in this campaign.
Thank you, Bill. Bill Whitaker in Boston. Despite the presidential defeat, the Democrats as a party come away from this election with plenty to cheer about. For one thing, they retained control of both houses of Congress. Phil Jones is here to talk to us about that this morning. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Charlie. Well, it appears that when all the votes are counted, the Democrats will have added a couple of seats to their Senate majority, although they did lose a 12-year veteran, John Melcher of Montana. It was also a bad night for a three-term Republican. A stunned Lowell Weicker, the maverick liberal Republican from Connecticut, watched his 18-year Senate career come to an end.
Causes that I fought for, I'll fight for them all over again, and either as senator or as citizen.
My most worthy opponent, Bob Kerrey, has been declared the winner by...
In Nebraska, 39-year-old David Carnes, appointed to the Senate just over a year ago, couldn't make it on his own. Carnes returns to obscurity. Republicans had hoped to make some gains in 3 states where Democratic incumbents were not seeking re-election. Republican Trent Lott did take the Democratic seat in Mississippi.
I want to see a few more smiles out there. Come on.
But in Florida, so far, the Republicans don't have much to smile about. And also in Wisconsin, it was a Democrat keeping the seat.
They said it couldn't be done, but we did it.
Cole, a rich businessman, did it by spending millions of his own money. But with few exceptions, it was another bumper year for Senate incumbents in both parties. 27 incumbents were running again, 23 of them won. The story is much the same in the House. The Democrats are expected to gain 4 or 5 seats. The only House incumbents to lose were those touched by scandal. Charlie?
Phil, what does this mean to the Bush administration? That doesn't sound very much like a honeymoon, does it?
No honeymoon. What you're going to have is the Democrats who said even before the voting yesterday that if Bush won it would not be a mandate. They are now going to take their gains in the Congress and say this is our mandate from the people to challenge the new president.
Thank you, Phil. Well, the voters passed judgment on more than candidates yesterday. They also considered more than 200 referendums in 41 states. In Maryland, they upheld a controversial law banning cheap handguns, and in California, there's a very tight battle, still undecided, over a proposition to cut insurance premiums by 20%. The election is not the only news this morning. The world continues to turn. The Air Force today will be investigating the crash of one of its B-1 bombers near Abilene, Texas. The 4 crewmen ditched the plane over an unoccupied area and all parachuted to the ground without serious injury. Kingman Brewster, the president of Yale University from 1963 to 1977, has died in Oxford, England. Brewster was 69 years old. After leaving Yale, he served as President Carter's ambassador to Great Britain for 4 years. In business news, on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose nearly 3 points to close above 2127. In Tokyo today, stock prices were sharply higher. And in Europe, the dollar is trading lower. In London, the price of gold is up 40 cents an ounce to $419.50. Silver is down a penny to $6.41. That's it for now from our election headquarters. Back now to Kathleen and Harry.
Charlie, thank you. Mark McEwen now is the latest on the weather for this Wednesday morning. Mark.
I wonder if it's morning in America.
Yes, it is morning. Kind of a gray morning in America. It has nothing to do with the election. Lots of clouds over the country. Basically, outside of the East Coast, where there are clouds, it's either most of the states are covered with clouds or partly cloudy, but clouds are the buzzword today. Let's put this out here for all the cabbies and the hacks, maybe one of the last weeks that you'll be able to ride around with your arm out the window and everything. Plus, they do a good job here in New York City. 46 degrees, little rain up in portions of northern New York, as you can see, but look at the cloud cover all throughout the country. Lots of clouds, and through parts of the middle and even what they call the near west, not the far west, they're seeing some rain mixed with snow, and some of the upper levels in Colorado and the Colorado Rockies, 2 to 6 inches in some of the northern slopes up there. So they're getting a good amount of snow up there. Rain, as you can see, through portions of Iowa and Nebraska, also through parts of Colorado and the lower levels as well. Kind of quiet down through the southwest. Up on the Pacific Northwest, they're going to see a little bit of rain a little bit later on today. They're just seeing clouds right now and 50 degrees in San Francisco. That's a quick look at the national forecast. Let's take a look at your weather.
Don't walk out the door without your umbrella because you may need it on the way back this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, more clouds this afternoon. Had a chance of thunder showers, highs in the mid-70s. I'm Joe Case.
Coming up, we'll have a wake-up call for the winner. Harry?
Thanks, Mark. One of the architects of the winning Bush strategy was campaign manager Lee Atwater, and he joins us live from Houston this morning. Good morning, Mr. Atwater.
Howdy.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
There was a lot of bad blood in this campaign. Everybody talked for so many weeks about the negative ads, and the polls showed that the American people were plenty dissatisfied with it. Does Mr. Bush now have to wage another campaign? Does he have to offer an olive branch of sorts and campaign to the entire country that, in fact, his presidency is going to be different than his campaign was?
Well, I think, Harry, the American voters last night resoundingly showed that they approved of his campaign. He did better than any of us, and I think almost any of the pundits expected. But I must say, if you saw his speech last night, you saw the George Bush that I've known for 18 years and love and admire. He's a man that knows how to work with people and bring people together. He was a member of Congress himself, so he knows how to work with Congress. Some of his best friends in the Congress are Democrats like Sonny Montgomery, and he'll get out around the country in the opening days of his presidency and bring this country together. That's what he's best at. Like I say, I've watched him for 18 years, and working with people and bringing people together is one of his specialties.
Let's talk a little bit about the campaign itself. You've been with him for a long, long time, as you just said. You were there in Iowa when the vice president came in third in the caucus there.
He sure was.
When did you feel like you had the corner turned, so to speak, and was there ever a time through the summer and fall that you thought, well, this is a done deal, we've got this thing locked up?
Well, Harry, I think there were two signal events in this campaign in the general election, and one was his speech in New Orleans this summer. As I stood there and watched that electrifying performance by the vice president, it was clear in my mind that he was going to be the next president. He established himself in that speech and established momentum that he kept going until the second signal event in the campaign, which was his performance in the second debate. That kept the thrust that he gained in New Orleans going. And those two events, I think, frankly, overshadow everything else in this campaign. And I must say, those were two tremendous performances by him in political crisis periods. And that's, I think, the most important two events in the campaign.
Mm-hmm. The transition can begin in earnest today. Do you expect Jim Baker to take over the transition team? And what will the transition team's top priority be?
I'm not about to speculate and try to upstage anything the vice president has to say. I must say, though, it was a real pleasure working with Jim Baker. He was our campaign chairman, and he was a leader that we all gathered around. And working for him and George Bush will go down as two of the greatest experiences I've ever had.
So you don't want to speculate either about who's going to stay in the cabinet?
I'm not about to speculate on anything like that.
I want to go back to the first question a little bit about the negative campaign. You're going to go back to your consulting business. Are you going to have politicians from all over the country beating your door down saying, I want to get a campaign just like George Bush's?
Well, I doubt that. Well, yeah, sure, everybody wants a winning campaign, but the vice president didn't run a negative campaign, and I think it's interesting that his opponent for 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks of the campaign, beat on him every day about running a negative campaign. And I'll tell you something, if he really ran a negative campaign, the voters would have responded, and they would have responded in a negative way. The fact is that George Bush carried about 40 states, there's two ways to look at an election. One's the Electoral College and one's the popular vote. And he did phenomenally well in both of those arenas. So I think the people have spoken about this whole notion of a negative campaign, and I think they spoke very positively.
Lee Atwater, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me here.
It is 15 minutes after the hour. Kathleen?
Coming up next, the Democrats. What's next for them after the Dukakis defeat?
And I know I speak for all of you and for all the American people when I say that he will be our president, and we'll work with him. This nation faces major challenges ahead, and we must work together.
Hello, I'm Paul Eels, here to introduce you to American Home Design Windows and Siding. Stand by to find out how you can receive this beautiful full-color brochure free that will help you save your energy dollars. Saving money is on the top of people's minds today. By installing double or triple pane replacement windows, you'll save 25% off your heating and cooling bill. But savings isn't the only reason to consider replacement windows from American Home Design. Solid vinyl construction is not only strong, but never needs painting or caulking. It tilts in for easy cleaning, providing a lifetime of beauty and convenience. Another way to beautify your home is with American Home Design siding and trim. This designer's selection siding and trim is maintenance-free. It will not chip or peel like wood, and you'll never have to paint again. Your home stays new-looking forever. American Home Design's unique soffit system can increase your home's ventilation and eliminate painting, overhang, and trim. Here's Don Bruce, president of American Home Design, to tell you more.
You know, we're proud to be a part of Middle Tennessee. We feel that pride guarantees quality, and we have over 7,000 satisfied customers who feel the same way.
I like those windows because they're made to fit my house and they are tight.
Fantastic.
They are tremendous.
I think every housewife should have them because they're so easy to clean.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Call today for a free estimate, and you'll receive 8.8 financing or up to $1,000 cash rebate. It's for a limited time, so call American Home Design today.
Thanks, Don. Call this number on your screen and receive free and with no obligation this beautiful full-color brochure and information kit from American Home Design. It tells how you can cut your heating and cooling costs by 25%. Don't wait another minute. Call now.
The Democrats will continue in control of the House and the Senate, but Michael Dukakis' defeat means that the Democrats have won the White House only once in the last 20 years. And with us to look at where the party goes from here are two prominent Democrats, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who joins us live from Chicago this morning, and in Little Rock, Arkansas, Governor Bill Clinton. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Jesse.
Reverend Jackson, last week you said that the 92 campaign begins today. Were you talking about your own personal campaign, or were you talking about the Democrats somehow regaining a national foothold?
Talking about the Democrats regaining a national foothold. After an election like last night, you wake up and you cut your losses and you count your gains. We must now, the DLC, the Rainbow, elected officials must now pull together in a spirit of coalition, not one of conquest. We won the House and the Senate, which gives us some obligation of putting forth a legislative agenda on what I guess Mr. Bush would call a gentler and a kinder nation, prenatal care, daycare, raising minimum wage, equal rights for women. That we must do. The big city elections in 1989, the census in 1990, a reapportionment in 1991. So our next political season really does begin today. I think it's much too early to talk about 92 politics it's much more appropriate to congratulate Mike Dukakis for having run a good campaign, an honorable campaign, and to congratulate President-elect George Bush, which I did on last night, as I called the both of them, because both of them ran tremendous races, and now that race is behind us.
You know, Governor Clinton, the Bush campaign was very effective in saying that Michael Dukakis was out of the American mainstream. Does it appear to Americans now that Democrats are out of the American mainstream? And is there a search within the Democratic Party to become more conservative, because the conservative Democrats are winning and even beating liberal Republicans?
Well, if you look at what happened in the election last night, we did well in the Senate, well in the House, well in the governorships. There's still a very vigorous national Democratic Party out there. But when people vote for president, they want a sense of where the party stands over and above specific programs. I agree with everything Jesse says, but we also have to be able to articulate a philosophy that is not perceived as too liberal. The American people are deeply conservative in general, but very progressive in particular. They're ready to face the necessities of change and the challenges we face, but we're going to have to work very hard to find a voice that really makes them identify with us. And as long as these elections can be characterized as left-right instead of tomorrow versus yesterday, the candidate on the left is going to be in trouble. That's been true throughout the 20th century. So we've got some more work to do to find a way of communicating our concern on all these particular issues in a way that makes people feel comfortable with the National Democratic Party in general. It can certainly be done. We have too many winners.
But Bill, I think it's fair to say that winning with 26 Democratic governors, 53 plus senators now, 270 congresspeople, that when we define liberalism as fighting for minimum wage to be raised for workers, we define it as equal rights for women, define it as human services, affordable housing, people embrace that. It seems that we have some obligation to define liberalism not as flag burnings on the left, and define conservatism not as cross burnings on the right, but define it as human services.
But Reverend Jackson, you sound like you want to hold on to the liberal label. In the meantime, Governor Clinton, you understand that how the party has to kind of stray away from labels at all.
Well, you either have to redefine what a liberal is, or redefine how people perceive you. There's no question that the word liberal today in American politics has received a different connotation than it had when John Kennedy or Franklin Roosevelt or Harry Truman embraced it. And I think what we have to do is make sure the American people know where the Democratic Party stands, and on those issues that they agree with us, we have to put those issues forward and demonstrate that we're capable tactically of responding to what we think are false charges when people assail our patriotism or say we're way out of the mainstream. I think that we share the values of the American people. If we didn't, you wouldn't have a gain in the Senate, a gain in the House, and a gain in the governorships.
Reverend Jackson, quickly, if you can, I want to ask you, can Paul Kirk lead that charge for the Democrats as the head of the party?
Well, he certainly did a good job for the last 4 years of pulling together a very diverse party. And we left Atlanta with a 17-point lead. I guess I'm saying that when you come this far with a net gain in the House and Senate, we really should not be finger-pointing and blaming too much. We're doing an awful lot of right things to be as strong as we are as a party.
I agree with
Reverend Jackson, Governor Clinton, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
And we'll be back.
Dateline Finland, March 1980. The most important breakthrough in weight control history has been made. Scientists testing a naturally occurring compound's ability to lower cholesterol found an unexpected benefit. Every person who consumed this formula experienced a significant weight loss. Further research revealed this compound actually combines with food and suppresses absorption of fats and carbohydrates. Now, this formula is available without prescription in the United States. Calban 3000, a revolutionary new weight loss enhancer that lets you eat anything you want and still lose weight.
I tried everything, but Calban's the only thing that worked for me. I lost 50 pounds.
I've tried 20 years to break 300 pounds. Now I've lost 78 pounds and 12 inches from my waist.
Calban 3000 bonds with food, preventing absorption of much of your caloric intake. Your body burns excess fat and cellulite for energy. You lose pounds and inches.
Losing weight's not easy. If you've tried dieting and found yourself regaining what you lost plus some, then you know what I mean. But now there's a way to break the diet gain cycle. Calban 3000 allows you to get rid of excess weight without exercising and without going on a diet.
Calban 3000 has no dangerous stimulants or chemicals, no harmful side effects, and it's absolutely guaranteed to work or your money back.
I thought I'd never be slim again, but I lost 85 pounds and regained my youthful figure.
I lost 62 pounds in 3 months. With Caliban, I feel and look like a new man.
If after 3 weeks you don't see a significant weight loss with no loss of energy, simply return the empty container for a full refund. With Caliban 3000, you can melt off those pounds and inches. Why wait one more day? You have nothing to lose but ugly fat, flab, and cellulite. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-638-2800. 3-week supply just $19.95 plus $3 shipping and handling. Or order a 6-week supply for $38.95 and get this 48-inch strand of Chinese faux pearls absolutely free. Call now, 1-800-638-2800. That's 1-800-638-2800.
From Channel 5, this is an Eyewitness News update. Brought to you by Emma's Flowers.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brenda Blackman. Let's check in with Joe Case and find out about this day after the election weather.
Well, it's going to look pretty good this morning. We have partly cloudy skies for the most part around the area. A few more clouds rolling on in, as you can see on our satellite picture and radar imagery. Most of the rainfall is still back to the west and to the north of us. A little scattered shower activity down in Alabama, but clouds beginning to roll in. There's been some pretty dense fog over East Tennessee this morning, with Knoxville and the Tri-Cities area reporting visibilities of 0. Some fog may be out in the area where you're watching, so be careful on your way in. Right now, partly cloudy 45. Today up to 76 with thunder showers by the afternoon. Brenda?
Thanks, Joe. We do have 2 accidents to report for you at this hour. They are at 44th Avenue and Indiana Avenue and Nolensville Pike and Allied Drive. In our news, Campaign 88 is finally over. Although the Republicans scored a big presidential victory with the election of George Bush, the Tennessee Senate race failed to show any coattail effect whatsoever. With 100% of the votes counted, Democrat Jim Sasser has won re-election, fending off a challenge from Bill Anderson, 65 to 34%. However, the Republicans were able to gain in the Tennessee House of Representatives. Beth Haltman scored an upset in the 56th district, ousting incumbent Democrat Jan Bushing by a 6% margin. 2 referendum questions were also on the ballot in Davidson County, and here are the final numbers on those issues. Metro voters overwhelmingly approved the enhanced 911 emergency system by some 143,000 votes. But the controversial horse racing referendum was neck and neck all the way, with the issue losing by a nose, only 2% of the vote. While Davidson County voters said no to gambling, voters in the Bluegrass state gave a thumbs up to the Kentucky State Lottery. A state law prohibiting a lottery was repealed, 61 to 39%. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Do you realize Christmas is almost here? 10% off all Christmas items during November at Emma's Flowers, 2410 West End. Trees, decorations, lights, wreaths, table centerpieces, nativity scenes, poinsettias, and many more. Come early, save 10% in November. Emma's, the superlative florist.
In other news, former White House Chief of Staff Howard Baker denies reports that his discussions with a New York firm are related to a criminal investigation of that company. The Washington Post yesterday quoted unidentified sources as saying Drexel Burnham Lambert was negotiating with Baker about his becoming its chairman. Drexel, one of the biggest U.S. investment companies, has been under intense scrutiny for nearly 2 years because of its relationship with Ivan Boesky. Boesky was convicted of insider trading and turned state's evidence. He is now in jail. The little boy found at the bottom of a trash chute in a Tennessee State University dormitory remains in critical condition at Vanderbilt Medical Center this morning. His mother has been identified as 23-year-old Barbara Trapp, an undergraduate at TSU. Captain Joe Anderson of the Metro Police Department's Youth Guidance Division says Trapp's mother is on her way to Nashville from Florida to take custody of the child. Weather-wise today, you need to take your umbrellas because there is a chance of showers in the afternoon. Today's forecast partly cloudy with a high around 76 degrees. Right now in Nashville, it's 45. Good day.
5. This has been an Eyewitness News update, brought to you by Emma's Flowers.
The moral crusader demanded to view this adult movie, and the accused college professor finally agreed to let him see it. It's that triple X-rated campus scorcher that students had to watch as part of the most controversial university course in America. Now the Crusaders review, and your chance to vote on whether this stuff belongs in a college classroom.
To Today on A Current Affair at 4 o'clock on Channel 5.
This is instant coffee. I don't believe it.
That's what people have been saying in fine restaurants.
But what would happen if you secretly switched Folgers Crystals for the fresh brewed coffee in your home? Let's listen.
It tastes absolutely like what we drink when it's fresh brewed.
When I found out, I was totally shocked. Mrs. Terry, I said, the coffee smells good. I'll be down in a second.
Folgers Crystals, so dark and rich. Why don't you try the switch?
She did it to me this time. She got me.
Well,
she got me.
Add pizzazz with a mix and match wardrobe today.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
And I'm Mark McEwen.
The Bush White House is going to take shape between now and January, but already the president-elect has begun selecting his staff. What will it look like? Robert Krulwich will be here to tell us in just a couple of minutes. And we'll also see what the new president can expect from a Congress that remains in the hands of the Democrats. Senator Joe Biden of Delaware is going to be joining us a little later on.
And for the next 4 years, it will be George Bush who will be dealing with the Kremlin. This morning, Soviet commentator Vladimir Posner will be joining us to see how Moscow sees the election, plus the stress that comes with losing an election this morning. We're going to talk with Geraldine Ferraro as we continue our series on the Stress Masters. And Sally Quinn is going to be joining us to look at what Washington's social life might look like with George and Barbara Bush in the White House. And now more on the election day, 1988. Here's Faith Daniels in CBS News Election Headquarters. Faith?
Good morning, Kathleen. Good morning, everyone. Leading our news this morning, President-elect George Bush begins mending fences after a long and divisive campaign. Bush easily beat Democrat Michael Dukakis in yesterday's election. Here's the count as it stands right now, with 98% of the precincts now reporting Mr. Bush leading 54% to Michael Dukakis' 46%. The Electoral College, where it counts, Mr. Bush, an overwhelming majority, 426 to Michael Dukakis' 112. Illinois falling into Mr. Bush's column just this morning. George Bush plans a news conference later this morning in Houston. Late last night, surrounded by members of his family, an elated Bush claimed his victory and told campaign workers he had received a gracious telephone call from Mr. Dukakis. Recalling a favorite campaign theme, Bush said his goal as president is a kinder and gentler nation for all Americans.
To those who supported me, I will try to be worthy of your trust, and to those who did not, I will try to earn it, and my hand is out to you, and I want to be your president too.
Michael Dukakis lost the election, but he is certainly not out of a job. Today, he goes back to the business of being governor of Massachusetts full-time for the next 2 years. In Boston last night, Dukakis delivered his concession speech and promised to work with the new Bush administration. Well, the Democrats may have been locked out of the White House, but in the Senate contest, they won 19 of the 33 seats up for grabs this year. The Republicans scored in 13 states, but the GOP lost seats it held in Virginia, Nebraska, and Nevada. In Washington state, they won a narrow victory, with former Senator Slade Gorton edging out Democratic Congressman Mike Lowry. But in Connecticut, the incumbent liberal Republican Lowell Weicker was defeated by the state's Attorney General Joseph Lieberman. However, in a very close contest, Mr. Weicker may demand a recount. Florida is the only state this morning with no clear-cut winner still. Democratic Representative Buddy McKay is battling Republican Congressman Connie Mack. The presidential election here has certainly had a ripple effect overseas. Anthony Mason reports on foreign reaction to the Bush victory.
As usual, Britain's flashy tabloids quickly coined a phrase for it. It's a Bushover, the headlines blared.
Back at the election, we were able to take a look.
European networks closely watched American returns throughout the night. If a Bush victory failed to excite most Europeans, it has at least reassured them. The markets here, confident of a smooth transition, remain steady. It's not that Bush is greatly admired, but that Dukakis was completely unknown. European leaders were not eager to see another American president go through on-the-job training the way Jimmy Carter did.
I think Europeans are very happy. Why? Because the problem you know is always better than the problem you don't know.
Britain's Prime Minister Thatcher may have had the most at stake. Over the past 8 years, she'd formed a unique political friendship with President Reagan. Bush may have similar policies, but will they find the same chemistry?
Who knows? After all, I always remember the time when Kennedy became president. People said, oh, he's the new generation. He won't get on with an old man like Macmillan. Actually, they got on like a house on fire. They ended up having hamburgers together in the White House.
Mrs. Thatcher took the first step today.
I've known George Bush's style for a very long time, and we get on very well together.
And next week, at the invitation of President Reagan, she will meet with the president-elect in Washington. This morning, the changing of the guard was also officially observed at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. As George Bush was given the place of honor, Michael Dukakis was carted off to the melting pot. Anthony Mason, CBS News, London.
Back here at home in the House of Representatives, the Democrats have beefed up their already strong majority. They now hold 262 seats to the Republicans' 173. That is a net gain for the Democrats of 5 seats. That's the latest for now. Kathleen and Mark?
Faith, thank you very much.
The Wax Museum. That's a toughie.
What's the weather today?
Well, let's take a walk and I'll tell you all about it. Tell you this morning's weather segment is sponsored by new band Ocean Breeze Scent. The Difference. Ah, yes, is fantastic. Now, you knew this was coming. There's a wake-up call. Look at this. Bush, Louisiana. You know how hard it was to find Dukakis, Illinois? We couldn't find one. Patchy cloud, 65 degrees. That, of course, is for George Bush and the Cajun state down there. Say hello to all my friends down there in Louisiana. Now, just about the entire eastern seaboard will have a bright, sunny day. However, it's Cloud City from the Ohio Valley all the way across to the Rockies. That's a lot of real estate right here. Lots of clouds today. We're going to see plenty of rain falling from the clouds across the Missouri Valley, where over an inch may fall during the day. Down in the southwest, going to be a good day. Hey, maybe you want to take it out on the road. You know, look at that. I've never run one of those jackhammers ever, but those guys do good work out there on the highways. The northern Rockies will have a dry but cold day. Northwest coastline is going to be in for a windy, wet afternoon, so watch out for that. You can see the rain clouds up there. 36 in Anchorage, 19 in Fairbanks, 87 in sunny skies in Honolulu. That's a quick look at the national forecast. Let's take a look at your weather.
Don't walk out the door without your umbrella because you may need it on the way back this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, more clouds this afternoon. Had a chance of thunder showers, highs in the mid-70s. I'm Joe Case.
Coming up, we'll talk about the rain falling mainly in the plain. Kathleen?
Plane or planes?
Planes.
As in Georgia.
747s, jets. No, only kidding. They'll be in the planes. We'll talk about it.
Thanks, Mark. Next, Robert Krulwich and some of the players in the new administration. It's now 23 minutes before the hour.
Know how great that shower fresh feeling is in the morning? Well, now you can keep it all day long with new improved Band Solid.
I didn't know Band made a solid like this. It's a whole new kind of Band, and it's really different. Different when I touch its Curve for Comfort shape. Different when I glide it on creamy smooth.
Band Solid does more than help keep you dry and odor-free. Band Solid gives you a shower fresh feeling, morning, noon, and night. New Band Solid. Keep that shower fresh feeling all day.
Sometimes I don't know what to believe. What food's good for you, what's not. But I guess I can believe reports from the National Cancer Institute. They say some studies suggest a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So I made some changes, like eating Kellogg's All-Bran. Just 1 tablespoon of All-Bran has more fiber than a whole serving of most other cereals. Am I going to change what I eat for breakfast? You better believe it.
High-fiber Kellogg's All-Bran.
My brother just did something very smart.
Very smart.
He got this amazing new picture-in-picture TV.
Yep, Magnavox did it again.
Now we could watch 2 shows at once, so we never fight over the TV anymore.
We hardly never, in fact, we never fight anymore.
We could watch one show and preview another.
We can even reverse the picture.
How smart of Tom to get a TV this smart.
How smart of him to say how smart I are.
How smart I are?
Him too.
Magnavox. Smart choice. Very smart.
When Mom gets a cough and cold, everyone suffers.
Mom, Dad's ironing.
Time to doctor that cough with Robitussin.
Look, Mom's feeling better. Uh-oh.
Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom.
Florida quality orange juice. It wakes you up, and it tastes like a dream.
Orange juice, there's nothing like it in the world.
100% pure Florida quality.
This, of course, is the first day of the transition from a Reagan White House to a Bush administration.
Robert Krulwich is here to tell us what he has learned about some of the president-elect's staff choices. Been on the phone all night, I take it.
Yeah, well, we have here 73 days now to make 100 to 120 key appointments in the new government. There are 3,000 people to appoint, but 120 important ones. The process may start right away. In fact, it may start this morning. CBS has been told that Bush may announce the appointment this morning of the White House budget director. Now, this is the David Stockman position. It's the key job in economics and tax policy. And that appointee may be Richard Darman, 45 years old. He worked, interestingly enough, for President Carter in the Commerce Department years ago, then for Ronald Reagan in the White House first term, then for James Baker. He's a protege of James Baker. He's a Harvard-trained gentleman and a pragmatic conservative. He's opposed to new taxes, but he's not fanatically opposed. So if some revenue enhancers, what we like to call little taxes, came his way, he might... Little ones. He might look on them nicely. Mr. Bush also may announce this morning a transition chief and maybe even the White House chief of staff. And this is the big job. Bob Haldeman, Hamilton Jordan job. The leading candidate, Craig Fuller, only 37 years old. He worked for Ronald Reagan in California, and then he worked for James Baker again in the White House.
Who's been on the campaigns, on the Bush campaign?
He has been with George Bush pretty much the whole time. Has been his chief of staff and may take that. He's also, he's the guy who put computers in the White House and got everybody to talk to each other by computer. He flies a Cessna. At 37, he may be a wee young for a job like this. So in the wings are John Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, who delivered New Hampshire to George Bush at a critical moment.
He's been sort of kind of campaigning hard for that job,
Yeah,
too, right?
Well, from George Bush's point of view, he may deserve it. And Nicholas Brady, way in the back. He's now the Treasury Secretary, but if needed, he might be called into this position. This morning, I'm told that what George Bush wants to do at his press conference is show that he's in charge, that the transition has begun, and that he wants to put that negative campaign behind him in some way. And that may involve, in the course of time, an offer of a prominent job to a Democrat. Maybe Kennedy did that.
Are there other people who are already in the cabinet, for instance, that people have a sense that he'll stay or he won't stay, or is that still pretty much up in the air at this point?
In the air, but James Baker's thought maybe he will be the Secretary of State, Thornburg the Attorney General, and maybe Brady will stay at Treasury. It's placing the campaign people that's really hard. Right now, you've got to find jobs for all those people who helped elect you. On the other hand, you've got to run the government and try to find good people to do that. And this is hard. And like President Nixon, for example, in an effort to try to figure out who might work for him, who hadn't been in a political, sent out form letters to everybody in Who's Who. And a letter arrived at his own house to see whether he'd work for himself.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing is the White House. Everyone wants to work in the White House. You could offer a guy flag, beautiful view, big carpet, huge desk, or a cubbyhole at the bottom of the stairs in the West Wing. The guy'd say, give me the cubbyhole. And if you don't give them a White House job, you can make fierce enemies. My favorite story on this one comes from the Richard Nixon administration. Bob Haldeman discovered that he ought to sit right at the door of the president. That would give him full control. Rosemary Woods had sat at the door of that president since 1951.
Or at the door of Richard Nixon.
At the door of Richard Nixon, right. Sorry. So she had been with Richard Nixon, and Bob Haldeman tells her, or rather tells Nixon, you've got to put me there. Nixon, it's a wonderful story, goes and tells Rosemary Woods in the Pierre Hotel, they're about to take an elevator trip, Rosemary, you're not going to sit in front of my door. Bryce Harlow is in the elevator. They walk in the elevator, and as Bryce Harlow describes it, and Bill Sapphire describes it in his book, they get in the elevator, and the president, she is so angry that she doesn't get that seat. She turns to the wall and will not look at him. He says, Rosemary, look here, Rosemary. And all the way down the elevator, the most powerful man in the world is pleading with this woman to talk with him. And she will not talk with him. This is real tough stuff. Every person you appoint, you disappoint 20 others. So this is enemy-making time.
Robert, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
It is 17 minutes before the hour. Kathleen?
And still ahead this morning, Senator Joe Biden on the Republican White House and those congressional Democrats.
Thank you, but I've been unemployed for a long time. It looks like I just got a job and I want to go to work in January.
Introducing the only lotion that keeps you Calgon soft after your bath. New Calgon After Bath Lotion for silky, soft skin all day. New Calgon After Bath Lotion makes Calgon softness last all day.
New Tartar Control Aquafresh will knock you over. It reduces ugly tartar and more. It also helps remove plaque, fights cavities, and tastes great. New Tartar Control Aquafresh.
As anyone who reads the Wall Street Journal can tell you,
it takes money to make money. Specifically, it takes 47 cents a day.
Call 800-843-7400 for this great journal subscription offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-843-7400 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Now they too have seen it. On a wall it is written, a dog food with a look and taste like no other. The king of all dog foods.
King Cuts. King Cuts.
Tender, juicy cuts made with luscious, lean meat, so scrumptiously sliced, so incredibly edibly unique, dogs just go nuts for.
King Cuts.
The king of all dog foods.
King Cuts.
Yeah, we made a change or two for the good. Did some things we didn't know we could. What a feeling. Look at what two people can do. Armstrong made our home so nice to come home to.
Let Armstrong do-it-yourself ceilings, floors, furniture, and decorating ideas help you when you take matters into your own hands.
Armstrong makes your home so nice to come home to.
When George Bush takes office as our 41st president, he's going to have to deal with a Congress that once again will be heavily Democratic, both sides. And joining us to look at how the White House and Capitol Hill will get along in the next administration is Democratic Senator Joe Biden of Delaware. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Kathleen. How are you?
Fine. And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling wonderful. Never better, thank you.
Oh, good. The honeymoon, will there be one?
Well, I think there'll be a honeymoon. Most of us have known George Bush for a long time, and I, for one, and I expect I speak for all the chairs of the committees in the Senate, are prepared to work with President Bush and do that straight up, no holes barred, and find out whether or not he means what he says when he says that he expects to have a close relationship with the Senate and the House.
Will the negative tone of the campaign in any way influence how senators and congressmen will feel? Is there going to be a little fence mending needed?
Well, quite frankly, there will be a little fence mending needed because it turned out not to be the George Bush that some of us knew when he was in the House and when he was at CIA. And some of us are hoping that we'll get back the old George Bush rather than the new George Bush in terms of the harshness with which he is dealt with Michael Dukakis.
So, Senator, what would be your first recommendation to President Bush?
Well, it's presumptuous for me to recommend anything to President-elect Bush, but I expect that if he does what he says, and that is to sit down as he goes along with the congressional leadership and talk about how he's going to effectuate a kinder, gentler America, he will have enthusiastic support on that agenda, kinder, gentler America. We'll have our disagreements, we'll have our fights, but I believe there's plenty of room for cooperation because there are plenty of problems.
Senator, do you also think that he's going to somehow address his problems with Bob Dole, because there is some friction between those two parts within the Republican Party?
Well, I quite frankly see potentially more difficulty on a personal basis between the president-elect and the Republican leadership than I do between the president-elect and the Democratic leadership. Bob Dole is a man of strong feelings and great strength, and I suspect, I guess if I were going to recommend anything to the president-elect is to sit down with Bob Dole as well as the newly elected Democratic leadership when we do that in late November.
The fact that George Bush had very little coattails bringing in other Republican congressmen, do you think that loses a bit of his effectiveness on the Hill?
Well, I think it's going to make it more difficult. It's clear to me that there was no mandate in this election. This was not a Ronald Reagan election. This was not a case where Ronald Reagan in 1980 and 84 went to the country with a specific agenda and said, this is what I want to do, and in fact got overwhelming support after having said in strong terms what he wished to do. George Bush spent most of his time talking about Willie Horton and not about education. He says he wants to be the education president. I don't think you or I or anyone knows what he means by that. So that I don't think there was, I think there weren't coattails in large part because many of us in America did not know precisely what George Bush meant by what he wanted to do, by a kinder, gentler America, by how he was going to be the education president. And I think, so I don't see any direct correlation between those running for the House and the Senate and the views that they spoke out on and George Bush at this point. So it will take some time. What negative campaigns do is they obscure the possibility of generating mandates, and mandates are positive. Mandates aren't negative. Mandate means there is a strong move for something particular to happen. And that did not occur in this election, and it's not impossible by a long shot, but it's going to be imperative that George Bush, I believe, in the first 6 or 8 months of his presidency, set out what he wishes to do with some degree of specificity.
And Senator, if you can quickly, to deal with the budget deficit, should he let Congress bring it up first, or should he set the agenda?
I think it's the responsibility of the president to set the agenda, and I hope he will not dismiss this commission, which quite frankly, and put it very bluntly, will give everyone the opportunity to do the right thing without either side being fearful that the other side is going to demagogue against them.
Well, that fight's already started this morning. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kathleen. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Nice to see you. 10 before the hour, Harry.
Coming up next, Chris Matthews when CBS This Morning continues.
You know, when I started this quest almost 2 years ago, people said I was going to learn a lot. Well, I sure have. I've learned the location of every McDonald's in New Jersey.
Some guys, they have it all. Some guys are just too vague. Some guys, they have them all. Some guys get left out in the rain.
Don't wait for something good to happen. Make it happen with the clean, masculine scent of English leather cologne.
Some guys have what others want. Some guys have it all.
English leather. Some guys have it all.
There's a new Kelly McGillis movie, but to any rape victim, it's much more. It happened to me. That's what Kelly McGillis told this week's People. Savagely raped 6 years ago, Kelly reveals her true story of shame and fear. People, that's what we're all about.
You know how some cereals have a long list of ingredients? Well, not Quaker Oats. It has a list of one ingredient, 100% rolled oats. Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do.
This portion of CBS This Morning is sponsored by Anacin, doctor recommended for pain relief, tablets, and now coated caplets.
The Republicans are about to spend another 4 years in the White House, while the Democrats will spend their time licking their wounds and trying to figure out how to win in 1992. Joining us with a look at the how of winning and losing is our political columnist, Chris Matthews. You don't have to hold back anymore, Chris.
I don't have to worry about being partisan.
Atlanta, 17-point lead. New Orleans, sorry. What convention town was it? Where were the Democrats?
It was Atlanta. We were all in Atlanta.
That's right. How does that happen? How did the Democrats blow it?
You get people suspicious about you. That's how you do it. And I think the Democrats have to take the blame for failing to convince the American people that they're tough on national defense. I think that's the root of a lot of this. I think once you're sure that once the people know that you're tough on defense and you're going to fight the enemy as well as any Republican, that you're just as tough in defending the interests of this country, and you have a gut sense of the country, that you think we're a special country. We're not just one of the countries of the world living in the United Nations building. We are, in fact, the United States of America. And once you get that point across in your gut, then people don't bring up the Willie Horton case, and they don't bring up the Pledge of Allegiance and all those other issues.
So is that a candidate's responsibility? Is that the campaign's responsibility?
This candidate, Dukakis, refused until the very last weeks of the campaign to admit he was for any weapon system. He was dragged kicking and screaming to come out for any missile system. That's no position for a leading Democrat to take. The White House is the position of trust in this country. When there's a crisis in the world, you don't go to the Congress to solve it. You go to the White House. That's the man who puts out the fires. And you must be an adult, a grown-up, about dealing with the Soviets. And stop this idea, well, I'm not for that system, I'm not for that when it costs too much. When it comes to this country's security, that's the #1 issue that people vote on. And I think the Democrats allowed themselves to be questioned effectively.
So with the L word.
The L word, I'll tell you, you know what the word is? It isn't the L word, it's the W word. It's weak. There's nothing wrong with being a tough liberal. There's something wrong with being a weak conservative. I'll tell you one thing. The Willie Horton case is a classic. I, to this day, don't know this man's position, Dukakis' position on the furlough program. Did he think it was a terrible mistake to let Horton out? Or did he think it wasn't a mistake? It was a justifiable incident that happens whenever you try a new program, or a modern program. He hasn't told us. On the Pledge of Allegiance, if I had been Dukakis, I would have come out kicking and screaming. I would have said, look, this is a free country. I believe in people saying what they want to say and not saying what they want to say. That's what makes us different than third world crazy countries. We don't make people salute every flag. We don't make people recite anthems. You're allowed to say what you want to say. Why didn't he talk like an American? If I was Dukakis, I would have said, yeah, I'm a liberal. I believe you have the right to say what you want to say and not say what you want to say. And the people would have rallied to him. Instead, he said, the Supreme Court of Massachusetts gave me an advisory opinion. I had to do it. That's wimp. That is no way to be a liberal. I think liberals should be tough. Bobby Kennedy was tough. Jack Kennedy was tough. You got to be a tough liberal and stop this wimpiness. And I think that was the issue in the campaign.
Is it because there's so many safety factors built in, the whole sense of I've got to have this sort of centrist, safe position all the time, and if I keep away from hard edges, enough people are going to like me to get me elected?
The problem is that the crowd around Dukakis are so Harvard, so elite, so aloof from the average Joe Sixpack, the regular Democrat, they wouldn't know how to talk to the guy. And their problem is that they were trying to address a guy they never met. The trouble is that Dukakis didn't know what a Reagan Democrat was all about because he's been running against Reagan Democrats in Massachusetts, and he's been beating them. And then he went into a general election this year and he needed their votes and didn't even know how to talk to them. You got to talk to average people about the country they love, first of all, and then they'll listen to you about the rest of it. When you got that in common, that you both love this country, then people listen to the rest of your rap. The trouble with this guy was he never got to first base with the average American.
Mike Dukakis is wondering where Chris Matthews was 6 months ago. Thanks very much. It's good to see you. Don't hold back next time. It's 5 minutes before the hour. CBS This Morning continues.
Mortgage, Bobby's dental bill.
Just as there are headaches
And the car payment is overdue.
and headaches, there's aspirin. And there's aspirin. Anacin. Clinical tests show Anacin relieves headache pain better. Anacin's aspirin formula provides a more effective level of headache relief than regular aspirin. Better relief.
Feeling better, hun?
Not just better, better.
Anacin. Not just better, better.
Here at New York's Peacock Cafe, gourmet coffee lovers are greeted with the aroma of freshly ground coffee. Today, we're secretly replacing their usual coffee with dark, sparkling Folgers crystals. Can these coffee lovers tell the difference?
It's a smooth aroma.
It smells good, it tastes good.
This coffee is very good. The aroma says that it will be a good cup of coffee.
It's Folgers crystals.
It tastes like freshly brewed coffee.
Mountain-grown Folgers crystals, coffee rich enough to be served in America's finest gourmet coffee houses.
On CBS This Morning, here's a look at your weather.
Don't walk out the door without your umbrella because you may need it on the way back this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, more clouds this afternoon, and a chance of thunder showers, highs in the mid-70s. I'm Joe Case.
Tomorrow, Philippine President Corazon Aquino will be here talking about our country's relationship with this country.
And a little bit later on this morning, we're going to be chatting with Soviet commentator Vladimir Posner on Moscow's view of the just completed election. Stay with us.
I think my son is having an out-of-body experience.
And Dick shows him the light.
It's the new me.
Like father, like son. It's the Van Dyke Show, tonight.
You want to give an old guy a thrill?
When you add Annie McGuire to your dance card, you'll be ready for anything. Mary Tyler Moore is Annie McGuire, tonight.
Traditions of the past.
This is the home of our ancestors.
Temptations of the present.
Now don't touch it, do you understand?
The whims of one man.
Help me bring him down.
The evil of many. And only one chance to survive.
Take it.
Are you ready for the equalizer? Tonight.
This is CBS.
This is a Channel 5 Good News Break.
Hi, this is Don Welch. A good party is fun for all ages. Just ask the folks at Citicorp Insurance Services. Citicorp celebrated Halloween with 50 kindergartners from the Buena Vista School. It's all part of Citicorp's Adopt a School program. After watching this Halloween party, it's hard to tell who had more fun, the younger ghosts or the older ones.
For the family that I love, for the house I'd call a home, only the best will do. Cooks, I'm trusting you. The most trusted name in pest control is Cooks Pest Control. Cooks Pest Control.
First, Gillette made shaving closer. Then we made it smoother. With Atra Plus, its Luber Smooth Strip glides the razor over your face for Gillette's smoothest shave. The Atra Plus system. First we made it closer, then we made it smoother.
When I dance, it's a real workout for my hair. That's why I always use White Rain Hairspray. For all the hold of the fancy brands, without the fancy price.
White Rain Hairspray. Beautiful hold at a beautiful price.
The winners and losers today on Midday. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
And I'm Harry Smith. Good morning, everybody.
Throughout the campaign, George Bush talked about his foreign policy experience and what it will take to deal with Mikhail Gorbachev over the next 4 years. Well, in just a couple minutes, Soviet commentator Vladimir Posner will be joining us live from Moscow with the Kremlin's view of a Bush administration. Also this morning, the Dukakis ad campaign and why it didn't work. 2 Dukakis media advisors will be joining us along with a top campaign aide.
We also continue our week-long series on stress. Former vice presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro remembers the pressures of politics for winners and losers. And Washington Observer Sally Quinn with a look at how the Bush win will affect the social scene in the Capitol. Now, Charles Osgood has more on the results from CBS News election headquarters. Charlie?
Thank you, Harry. Well, George Bush is president-elect this morning as the result of a broad-based victory. Popular vote was solid for Mr. Bush. The electoral vote was a landslide. Nationally, when you compare the popular vote, 46% for Dukakis, 54% for the winner Bush. In terms of the electoral vote, where it really counts, you need 270 to win, and Mr. Bush had 426 electoral votes. The sweep of the Bush victory was nationwide. He built a successful campaign on what was once the solid Democratic South and spread from there to key states from coast to coast. The next step for the president-elect is transition. The first Bush people moved into the White House today to start work on the changeover from the Reagan administration. Mr. Bush accepted victory last night in Houston before a crowd of cheering supporters. Frank Courier reports the message was a call for harmony.
A beaming, triumphant George Bush hailed his presidential victory with a peace offering to heal the nation's wounds left from a bitter, rough and tumble campaign.
To those who supported me, I will try to be worthy of your trust, and to those who did not, I will try to earn it, and my hand is out to you, and I want to be your president too.
Surrounded by family members, the new president-elect repeated a favorite campaign theme, calling for a kinder, gentler nation, while praising not trashing his opponent, Michael Dukakis, who had just phoned his congratulations.
He was most gracious. His call was personal. It was genuinely friendly, and it was in the great tradition of American politics.
In what marks the first time in more than 150 years that a sitting vice president was elected president, Bush's chief of staff hints there'll be familiar faces in the new transition government.
I think he's going to have to design a transition that's unique to him, that fits him, and I think it'll move fairly quickly, but I'll let him talk about that in the days ahead.
Indeed, Mr. Bush comes to the presidency with a unique advantage, a ready-made cadre of experienced senior government officials and political advisors who can fill a cabinet. Names like former Treasury Secretary James Baker, Attorney General Dick Thornburgh, and Treasury Secretary Nicholas Brady, all considered key candidates for big jobs. Charlie?
Frank, it's been such a grueling campaign for both candidates. Mr. Bush and family planning to take a few days off here, or at least a little downtime before getting back to it?
That's the word. After today's presidential news conference, he goes back to Washington, links up with Vice President-elect Quayle for a sit-down meeting with President Reagan, and then it's off to the Florida coast and Delray Beach in a 4-day R&R weekend.
Thank you, Frank. Frank Courier in Houston. Michael Dukakis promises he'll be back at work this morning as full-time governor of Massachusetts, a job he once called the greatest in the world. Peter Van Sant joins us now in Boston with the story of the defeated candidate. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Charlie. Dukakis battled to the end, but the surge of late support he predicted would lead to victory never materialized. Last night, Dukakis ended a long and at times bitter campaign by calling for national unity.
Governor and Mrs. Michael Dukakis.
Michael Dukakis was gracious in defeat, asking his followers to support President-elect George Bush, despite a campaign that Dukakis said was filled with distortions and lies.
He will be our president, and we'll work with him. This nation faces major challenges ahead, and we must work together.
It was a staggering defeat for a man who once led George Bush in the polls by 17 points, and who said the election was about competence, not ideology. Ironically, many analysts believe it was Dukakis' poorly run campaign which brought him down.
Clearly, there are things that you'd do over if you had the opportunity to.
Later today, Dukakis will explain why he waited so long to respond to Bush's attacks. But for his many supporters, Dukakis' night of defeat was a time to reflect and give thanks.
Most of all, I'll remember the people I've met. Their strength, their values, their generosity. Our hearts are full. We love you all. We love this country.
This afternoon, Dukakis will meet the press to discuss what went wrong with a campaign that was soundly rejected by the American people. Charlie?
Peter, is there a sense there that in the campaign among its people that Dukakis ever really got through to the American public, told them who he was and what he stood for?
It was just in the last couple of weeks when he came up with the On Your Side campaign that he finally focused his campaign and came up with a message. Before that, he allowed Bush to essentially fill out his application with the American people and define who Michael Dukakis was. So that was a big problem with him.
Thank you, Peter. Peter Van Sant in Boston. As for Congress this morning, the Democrats are still solidly in control of both House and Senate. There's one Senate race still too close to call. That's the tight Florida battle between Democrat Buddy McKay and Republican Connie Mack. In Washington state, on clear cross country, former Republican Senator Slade Gorton won a close one over Democratic Congressman Mike Lowry. And back on the East Coast again, in Connecticut, a shocker. Liberal Republican Lowell Weicker was narrowly defeated by Democrat Joseph Lieberman, but Weicker still refuses to concede at this point. 12 states held elections for governor. Republicans held 8 of the 12 going in, but only 7 coming out. Democrats won Republican-held governorships in Indiana and West Virginia. Montana's governorship went from Democrat to Republican. Now that will give the Democrats a total of 28 governors against 22 Republicans. The election of '88 left a lot of people unexcited. Voter turnout was the lowest since World War II. Only 49% of the people who could have voted did so. But CBS News talked with many of those who did take the time to cast ballots, and Diane Sawyer has the results of the exit polling.
It won't surprise anyone to learn that the issue that got hearts started in the voting booth this year was the economy. Sometimes, however, the economy drives voters to seek a change. In this case, we found something different. We found that of the voters who cited the economy as an important issue, more than half thought the economy was getting better. And how you felt about the economy had a direct bearing on which candidate you chose. If you were optimistic about the economy, you tended to vote for Bush. If you were more concerned, you tended to vote for Dukakis. And this has a direct bearing on that old familiar gap, the gender gap. Take a look at the difference in the way men and women feel about the economy. Men are optimistic in almost exactly the proportion that women are pessimistic. And this year, the gender gap reemerged. Women narrowly went for Dukakis in this campaign. And finally, a note about the quail vote. We found that more voters expressed concern about the vice presidency this year than we've ever seen before in our exit booth polling. And the voters who expressed the most concern tended to be Dan Quayle's peers, the yuppies, the baby boomers, who said they were most concerned about the man who would be vice president, and that did influence their vote. Diane Sawyer, CBS News, New York.
And for now, that's it from our election headquarters. Back now to Harry and Kathleen.
Thanks, Charlie. We're going to get some weather now this morning.
Some weather?
Some weather.
The
Weather in your face. Here's my
a chunk of hot, burning weather this morning. Weather in your face. I kind of like that. So you can see the buzzword today is not Republicans. The buzzword is not Democrats. The buzzword is clouds. Are clouds? is clouds. You can see clouds all over the country is what I'm trying to say. This is a satellite picture. Most of the clouds, not many of them bringing rain, but a lot of them bringing, as you can see, cloud cover. Very few states showing all clear skies. As we get out to the western part of the country, you can see a lot of cloud cover up in the northwest, and also right around parts of Wyoming and Utah, and they're seeing some snow and also seeing some rain in the northwest. Let's talk about the northwest. Northwest seems to be locked into a pretty wet weather pattern, which is a blessing since it's been so dry up there for such a long time. You can see windswept rain is what we're talking about today. This new system should be spreading its heavy rain across the shorelines by mid-afternoon, and the system we're talking about, of course, is right through here coming this way. The gusty southerly winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour will probably start blowing a little bit later on this morning, so it's a bumper suit kind of day in the northwest. Take that umbrella with you. That's a quick look at the national forecast. Let's take a look at your weather.
Don't walk out the door without your umbrella because you may need it on the way back this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, more clouds this afternoon, and a chance of thunder showers, highs in the mid-70s. I'm Joe Case.
Coming up, we'll tell you the weather for tomorrow. Harry?
Thanks, Mark. Commercials played a major part in Campaign 88, and the consensus is George Bush won the ad war as well as the election. Joining us to look at why the Dukakis ad campaign didn't do better are Dukakis media advisors Scott Miller and Ed McCabe, and Dukakis staff member Ron Brown, who joins us from Washington. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Scott, let me ask you first. It is widespread and well known that there was complete disarray within the advertising campaign of Michael Dukakis. Do you think Democrats on a national level understand what it takes from the advertising perspective?
I think perhaps Democrats on a national level don't understand communications and its importance in the strategy of a presidential election. The necessity to have a focused message, the necessity of unifying free and paid media together. I think sometimes I feel very strongly that we miss how strong and how important that is in a campaign.
What specifically? Give me an example of the kind of problem you ran into this past campaign.
Well, the lack of a coherent and consistent strategy. I mean, it's tough enough on the American people to understand and sort out the issues in a campaign. They need focus, they need simplicity, they need to really understand what's at stake.
So the Dukakis people were not telling you this is the message we want to send? They couldn't tell you that?
It was not clear until the last really 3 weeks of the campaign when the message, I think, came together on a strategy that really should have been in place in, say, May or June.
Ed, you had 10 commercials that you produced that never got on television.
That's right. But there were other people that had many commercials that didn't get produced, that got produced and didn't get on as well.
What was the nature of the frustration? I mean, how does something like that happen?
Well, I think it's a classic corporate case of the committee trying to build a horse and ending up with a camel. It's too many voices.
Too many voices?
Yeah.
Too much democracy in the Democratic campaign?
I think the Democrats practice democracy better than the Republicans. The Republicans have 1 or 2 men that shape the campaign and build the message, and the Democrats had 100, and you just can't do it.
It's an enormous mistake that we make almost characterologically in the Democratic Party. It's the idea that if 2 people can fly a plane well, then 75 people can fly it better. And of course, this morning that plane's in the side of a mountain. We constantly make that mistake. The Republicans seem to have this sort of mindset that's a corporate mindset. It says we're going to have a leader, we're going to have a chairman, we're going to have people who work for them, they're going to have defined responsibility, and we're going to work everything formed around one central strategy. And they did that with great discipline on the Republican side.
Ron Brown, was it even more than advertising, though, that got the Dukakis campaign into such a mess?
Well, I wouldn't say the campaign was in such a mess now. I think that tremendous progress was made over the last several weeks. I think Michael Dukakis was an extraordinarily strong candidate at the end, as the data shows. Most of the people who made up their mind towards the end of the race chose Michael Dukakis. Of course, we're disappointed that he didn't win, but there isn't devastation because, in fact, the Democratic Party did well. We did well in adding to our majority in the United States Senate, in the House of Representatives, and in state houses across the country. So I think the Democratic Party is alive and well and have a strong foundation on which to build for the future.
I'm hearing a member of the Democratic National Committee talking now, maybe more than I hear Ron Brown talking, and what I'd like to do is open this up a little bit in the sense that this is a failed campaign. This is a guy who was 17 points ahead when he came out of the convention, and this thing went down the tubes. And it sounds like there was disorganization and disarray. And was that, in fact, the case, maybe not even in the advertising community, but as you saw in the day-to-day operation of the campaign, Ron?
Well, frankly, I think finger-pointing doesn't do us a lot of good. I think Governor Dukakis himself fully acknowledges that he wished he had been a more aggressive candidate earlier. He wishes he had answered the negative attacks earlier. So he has taken responsibility for that. Obviously, it wasn't a well-oiled machine. Obviously, it wasn't the best-run campaign in the history of American politics. But I think there were a lot of other factors. I think the American people somehow felt comfortable with someone that they knew well, George Bush. He'd been around the political scene for over 2 decades. Michael Dukakis was new to the national political scene and therefore had a lot to overcome. So I think there are a lot of things that can be said about analysis and things that could have been done better, and advertising could have been better, and that's all true, but it was clearly a combination of things that took place, and obviously if we had it to do over again, we'd make a number of changes. Some people have criticized us for not going harder at the base of the Democratic Party, the core of the Democratic Party, exciting them and getting them out to the polls, and concentrating too much on getting back so-called Reagan Democrats. We did get back a lot of those, and a lot of independents as well, but not enough to really turn the tide.
It interests me, especially for you two guys. It would seem to me to be the easiest job in the world. The American people liked Mike Dukakis after the convention. And your job was to sell them, continue to sell them, something they already liked in the first place. What other kinds of problems did you run into on a day-by-day basis? What was it like? You went to work, you said, I've got an idea. What kind of response did you get when you said, I'd like to put this on TV?
Good, very good, we'll get back to you. And it would just disappear. And I don't know where it would disappear, and I think Scott probably had some of those same problems. And Scott was closer to it than I was, because I stayed in New York and commuted once in a while. Scott spent a lot more time on that.
Your commercial actually got on. The handlers talking about the handlers, and that was a commercial everybody talked about, but a lot of people within the Democratic Party didn't even like, because they said it was too confusing.
Well, it may have been. I think it was an attempt to change the dialogue in the campaign at a time when it needed to be, when they needed to get people focused on that issue. But that was only a small percentage of the media buy, really, that one part. I think what's important, again, is the coherence of the message. Here's a guy, a remarkable governor, a man of enormous integrity and really remarkable accomplishment in Massachusetts, not to take advantage of that feeling, as you say, that positive curiosity toward him just after the convention. That was a huge mistake.
Ideology must drive you to say, I'm going to leave my job and go work for the Dukakis campaign. Are you soured now from the experience? Do you say, I'm not going to offer my services to the DNC or to a Democratic candidate anymore?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, I believe strongly in what the Democratic Party stands for. I believe strongly in what Governor Dukakis stood for. The message that he was putting out, particularly at the end, the message of the middle-class squeeze and seeing that the middle-class guys deserve to have somebody on their side in the White House, I think that's a terribly important message. The message of health care and education and women's issues and the issues of the disadvantaged. Those are issues that must be brought to the fore forcefully. And I believe in them just as strongly today as yesterday.
Ron, real quick, the Democratic National Committee meets in Phoenix in another week or so. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Are you going to go after Paul Kirk's job? His term is up in January.
Well, you know, I've been focusing on trying to get Michael Dukakis elected. I'm flattered by the speculation about that. I've got a deep and long commitment to the party. I think in the next couple of days I'll be making a judgment about that goal.
All right, Ron, thanks so much. Scott and Ann, do appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much. It is 17 minutes past the hour.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Allen.
And I'm Harry Chapman.
Coming up today on Talk of the Town at 11, learn how to mix it all up with pizzazz when we show you how to stretch your wardrobe.
There's no need to stretch the imagination for beauty. Just take a look at these beautiful colors of fall.
Also, if your child's grandparents have you seeing red because they break all your rules, find out how to avoid this three-sided problem with parent, child, and grandparent.
And it's Wednesday. That means Doc Holliday is going to be here in the kitchen. We have all this and a lot more today at 11.
It's an absolute auction. 54 luxurious new homes located in Nashville's finest subdivisions. The auction will be held at Nashville Stouffer Hotel Saturday, November 19th at 9:30 a.m. These elegant new homes feature beautiful and distinctive appointments, including fine oak cabinetry, ceiling fans, fireplaces, and spacious master suites. With financing available, you don't want to miss this opportunity to own your dream home. For information, call J.P. King Auction Company, 1-800-662-5464.
Honey, you bake fresh salmon at $4.50 for 30 minutes.
Dear, it's $3.50 for 40 minutes.
$4.50 for 30.
$3.50 for 40.
$4.50 for 30.
$3.50
It is
for 40.
$4.50 for 30.
$3.50 for 40.
Hello, Kroger. We need help.
Need help with cooking tips, storage advice, or recipe hints? Our toll-free meat line is staffed by experts. Just give them a call.
Terrific salmon.
Like I said, $3.50 for 20 minutes.
No, like I said, $3.50 for 20.
No, I said.
Hello, Kroger. It's me again.
The Kroger toll-free meat line, because a little help can make a difference.
First, Gillette made shaving closer. Then we made it smoother. With Atra Plus, its Luber Smooth Strip glides the razor over your face for Gillette's smoothest shave. The Atra Plus system. First, we made it closer. Then we made it smoother.
Seems like Mandrells have been using White Rain shampoo and conditioner forever.
The White Rain family of hair care.
There'll never be another for me.
Beautiful hair at a beautiful price.
The final vote isn't completely in yet, but with 93% of the precincts counted, it looks like Californians have now put the brakes on insurance rates in that state. Consumer groups are predicting similar reforms throughout this country, and consumer correspondent Erin Moriarty joins us to talk about California Prop 103, which was the one that was kind of pushed by Ralph Nader.
Absolutely, and consumer groups like Common Cause. And I think that up until now, everyone's thought Ralph Nader is passé, but anyone who thinks the consumer movement is dead is going to have to rethink that position. Yesterday, Californians came out strong for the most comprehensive insurance reform law in history. That law looks like it's passing, despite massive spending by the insurance industry to defeat the measure. Listen to this, they spent over $70 million. That's more than the entire 1984 presidential election cost. But despite all that money, under the new California law, all premiums for auto, homeowner, commercial, and municipal liability insurance will be rolled back 20%, not from current levels, but from where they stood a year ago. Only insurance companies that can prove that they're on the brink of insolvency are exempt from that rollback. In addition, the new law opens up competition by allowing banks to sell insurance. It makes insurance companies, and this is a big thing, for the very first time, subject to state antitrust laws, and it forces companies to justify all future rate increases. And maybe one of the more important provisions of the law has to do with something called territorial rating of auto insurance policies. Now, anyone who lives in a major city like Chicago, Cleveland, or Los Angeles knows what territorial rating is. You've been paying higher insurance premiums than your suburban neighbors for years just because you live in the city limits. Under Proposition 103, insurance companies will have to rely less on geography and for the first time really look at your own driving record.
Explain to me enforcement, though. I mean, is the Attorney General office now going to enforce this? Is that what that mandate is?
Well, no, it will be the state commissioner. And for the first time under this law, though this only affects Californians, there will be an elected state commissioner under this particular proposition. This could have far-reaching results. Even though it's a very tight thing, even if by some slim chance it didn't pass, all the consumer groups are saying we have 5 other states we're going to introduce the same kind of proposals. And the insurance companies are already talking about, let's deal. Don't come up with these proposals. We'll make reforms on our own. So this is really an exciting proposition.
So do I go back to my records right now, go back a year and say this is what I paid a year ago?
No, because it goes into effect next year. If you still have insurance in California, you're going to see, if you were paying $1,000 now, and you'll probably go down to about $800. That's a sizable increase
Now, we
a
should
year.
mention that it's still very, very close in the race and all the ballots aren't in.
And also, there's going to be a legal challenge. The insurance companies are going to fight this on Fourth Amendment rights, saying that they're losing property without due process of law. I mean, there's going to be a legal challenge, but I think the effect of this is going to be really far-reaching.
Erin, thanks. It's now 22 minutes after the hour. Harry?
Still coming up, Geraldine Ferraro on political stress.
We did it!
The car of the future is here today. Tomorrow's car, yesterday's prices, now at Jim Reed Hyundai. $54.95 buys a hot new '89 Hyundai Excel. $99 a month with no payment until $1989. $54.95. It's red hot. $99 a month. Where else can you get payments as low as $99 a month? Only at the leader, Jim Reed Hyundai, across from Hickory Hollow Mall.
You know, I've always wanted to be a spokesperson, but Cub Foods doesn't spend money on things like that. Their business is saving people money on the best groceries available, and they work real hard at that. In fact, you could say that Cub has a knack for saving money, even on their celebrity spokesperson.
Steve, scan. Scan.
Great price.
Cub Foods. It's a new way to run a supermarket. Norbest Grade A turkeys, 10 to 22 pound average, just 58 cents a pound, limit 1.
There's only one first time, and it's now, right now at American Sofa. It's our first ever sale, and a big thank you for accepting us so quickly. Today, you'll save $50 to $500 on living and family rooms. American Sofa will make it exactly the way you want, in as little as 15 working days. And you'll get our no questions asked guarantee. If you don't love it, we'll pick it up. Now, with sale prices like these, how could you possibly buy furniture without shopping American Sofa in Hickory Hollow and Riverdale?
That's it, Bobby. Don't move a muscle. Me and my brother Bobby always play it safe, whether it's playing football or working with electricity. Ain't that right, Bobby? Yeah, you got to be careful when you're working with electricity, because if it ever gets out of that wire, it'll hit you like a linebacker. Ain't that right, Bobby? You ready, Bobby? Here it comes. Give me 3. Bobby!
From Channel 5, this is an Eyewitness News update.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brenda Blackman. Let's check in with Joe Case and find out about today's weather forecast.
Well, Brenda, the clouds are rolling on in here today, and it looks like, for the most part, the afternoon is going to be cloudy, and we're going to have some rain out there. So if you're getting ready to head out the door to work or wherever, better take the umbrella with you, because later on today you're probably going to need it. Here's the way we're looking outside. Currently, mostly cloudy, 50 degrees. Today, we're looking for partly to mostly cloudy skies with afternoon thunder showers possible, and the high temperature is going to be about 76 degrees or so today. Let's check on the traffic now with Brenda.
Thanks, Joe. We do have a couple of accidents to report for you at this hour. They are on Donaldson Pike at I-40 and Cloverland Drive and Old Hickory Boulevard. There is a gas leak there, and they are diverting traffic. In our news, election results, of course. George Bush's impressive victory in the presidential race was not enough to help fellow Republican Bill Anderson in his run for the U.S. Senate. With all of the ballots in, Democrat Jim Sasser is the clear winner with 65% of the vote, compared to only 35% for Anderson. But the Republicans did pick up a seat in the Tennessee House of Representatives. Final results from the 56th District show Beth Haltman with the upset victory over incumbent Democrat Jan Bushing by a 6% margin. 2 referendum questions were also on the ballot in Davidson County, and with 100% of the votes in, here are those results. Metro voters overwhelmingly approved the enhanced 911 emergency system by some 143,000 votes. But the controversial horse racing referendum went down to the wire as predicted. The issue lost by a narrow 2% of the vote. While Davidson County voters said no to gambling, voters in Kentucky can bet even more in their new state lottery. By a 61 to 39% tally, Bluegrass voters repealed a state law prohibiting a lottery there. We'll have more for you in just a moment.
One of the things DuPont says can end up on its Stainmaster carpet can actually make any carpet look better. Stanley Steamer, the carpet cleaner DuPont chose as the authorized warranty service company for its Stainmaster carpet. Now, if we're good enough to service DuPont's best carpet, don't you think we're good enough to clean yours? Stanley Steamer. Anything less just isn't carpet cleaning.
Stanley Steamer Carpet Cleaners, 331-7110, 6 areas for $99.95.
The Clarksville Humane Society shelter is closed, and the society has fired the officers and volunteers who ran it. An official says the shelter is unsanitary and overcrowded, and that most all of the cats are suffering from feline leukemia and will have to be put to sleep along with some of the dogs. Dr. Robert Doty, a board member, says the society has $28 in the bank with debts of more than $3,000. In the future, the society will not have a shelter itself, but will try to find foster homes for abandoned animals. And finally, some good news for the girl from McMinnville who was hit in the head with a lawn dart and spent several days in a coma. Amy Herron is doing a lot better this morning. She went home from Vanderbilt Medical Center yesterday afternoon saying that she was a little blurry-eyed but still feeling good. That wheelchair was not really necessary. Amy's doctor told her to get right back into the life of a normal 6th grader. She will be going back to school on Monday. Weather-wise today, currently in Nashville, we have mostly cloudy skies and 50 degrees. Today's forecast, partly cloudy skies. In the afternoon, you can expect some showers. The high should be around 76 degrees. Have a terrific day, everyone.
You know, there are many ways to measure success. One is recognition by our peers. That's why all of us at Channel 5 are so very proud to win the Emmy Award for Eyewitness News at 6. And for the 2nd year in a row, too. But knowing that you trust us to bring you the news, well, that really makes us proud. And that's why we'll work very hard to bring you the best newscast we can. That's a promise.
Your good health is your most valuable possession. Channel 5 presents Health Tips each day, Monday through Friday, with medical reporter Leanne Sewell. Health Tips will provide useful and practical information about your health and today's important health issues. An ounce of prevention is the key to a healthy and happy life. Let us help you stay that way each day with Leanne Sewell and Health Tips, brought to you by Baptist Hospital.
Win, Lose, or Draw, now at 4:30 on Channel 5.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
There are not many professions more stressful than politics. Marathon campaigns and long nights of waiting for the returns. Sometimes not so long nights. This morning we continue our series called Stress Masters. Today, Geraldine Ferraro on how a politician handles winning and losing.
And Washington Observer Sally Quinn will be joining us this morning with a look at how the Capitol's socials power the... Let me do that again. How Washington's
You want me to say?
Washington, D.C.'s powers that be in the social arena will actually change come January, or will they not? Now, with more on the election, here is Faith Daniels in CBS News Election Headquarters. Faith?
Kathleen, at the top of the news, President-elect George Bush says the way is open for harmony and peace after a bitter campaign and the lowest voter turnout since World War II. Here's the way it stands now, with 98% of the precincts reporting George Bush with 54% of the popular vote, Michael Dukakis with 46%. In the Electoral College, where it counts, Mr. Bush, an overwhelming majority, 426 electoral votes to Michael Dukakis' 112. Mr. Bush opened his victory with a clean sweep of the South. He added California during the night, and Illinois fell into his column early this morning for a landslide win in the Electoral College. Surrounded by his family at a victory celebration last night in Houston, Mr. Bush said his hand is out to all those who did not vote for him. He predicted the American people will come together as they always have, and the president-elect spoke of his vision for the future.
Now we will move again for an America that is strong and resolute in the world, strong and big-hearted at home. And when I said I want a kinder, gentler nation, I meant it, and I mean it.
Mr. Bush holds a news conference this morning, and he is expected to announce some key appointments to his administration, possibly including Budget Director and White House Chief of Staff. CBS News will broadcast the news conference shortly after 10 Eastern Time. Michael Dukakis also plans a news conference later today in Boston, and CBS News will carry that live as well. In his concession speech last night, Dukakis promised to cooperate with the new administration, but he also restated the populist theme that enlivened the last few days of his campaign, saying he will continue the fight to make every citizen a full shareholder in the American dream. If yesterday was the high-water mark of George Bush's political career, it was the experience of a lifetime for his running mate. Jacqueline Adams has more.
Dan Quayle tried to stay in the background on election night, telling his staff this is George Bush's night, but he couldn't hide his excitement.
We will never forget this night.
When he spoke to the exuberant throng at the Republican National Committee's victory party in Washington, well after the president-elect took his bows in Houston, Quayle paid tribute to the man who put him on the ticket.
there is no doubt in my mind that George Bush will lead America to new greatness, preserve the security of our blessed land, and build for each of our citizens a life of hope and opportunity.
Yet because of the intense criticism he endured, Quayle saw the Republicans' victory as a personal vindication. He tried not to gloat.
The vice presidency is not a job. It is a trust created by each of you. I will never violate that trust.
Today, Quayle will be center stage for just a moment when he welcomes George Bush back to Washington. After that, he's told his staff he wants to fade into the background and do all he can to help the Bush administration get off to a good start. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Washington.
Turning now to the congressional races. In the House, the Democrats scored a net gain of 5 seats. They now hold 262 seats to the Republicans' 173. In the Senate, Democrats won 19 seats to the Republicans' 13. But one Senate race is still too close to call this morning. That's the contest in Florida between Democratic Congressman Buddy McKay and Republican Representative Connie Mack. In Connecticut, the incumbent liberal Republican Lowell Weicker was upset by State Attorney General Joseph Lieberman in a race that is so close that Weicker may demand a recount. In many states, voters were deciding on much more than just who should fill office. In Maryland, voters upheld a controversial law that bans cheap handguns. And in California, a battle is still raging over a proposition to slash insurance rates by more than 20%. That's the latest on all the news. Here again is Harry.
Thanks very much, Faith. I want to get a check on the weather this morning, and also a happy birthday to who?
One of my heroes. Let me set the stage. 1964, first time I ever played organized baseball. I was a pitcher on a team called the Cardinals. That year they won the World Series. Today, Hall of Famer Bob Gibson, one of my heroes, is 53 years old. 39th Vice President Spiro T. Agnew is 70 on this date. And astronomer Carl Sagan is 54. I guess that means he's been alive billions and billions of days. Happy birthday to you, Carl Sagan. So you can see clear basically on the East Coast today. There's little rain activity to talk about through the Mississippi Valley all the way up through, basically through almost the entire Midwest. Lots of rain. But as we get out towards the West Coast, you can see down around the Pacific, around the Southwest, not the Pacific Southwest, down around the Southwest, clear. Pacific Northwest, some rain up there in portions of Oregon, also in Washington along the coastline, slowly moving in. And talk about tomorrow, wet Thursday seems most likely from the eastern Great Lakes down the Ohio Valley, then southward into the Tennessee Valley to the Gulf Coast. Lots of rain again, and also you see a few thunderstorms down around the Gulf Coast as well. Skies will be clearing up across the plains and upper Midwest, where readings will only make it into the upper 30s and 40s. Elsewhere, the Southwest will have a fine autumn afternoon, while that northwestern rain of later on today will turn into a mixture of rain and snow tomorrow across the northern Rockies. Hey, it's fall heading into winter. What can I tell you? That's a quick look at the national forecast. Let's take a look at your weather.
Don't walk out the door without your umbrella because you may need it on the way back this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, more clouds this afternoon. Had a chance of thunder showers, highs in the mid-70s. I'm Joe Case.
There you have it, the weather for today and for tomorrow. Harry?
Thanks, Mark. Next, stress in the political arena. Geraldine Ferraro remembers 1984, 24 minutes before the hour.
When my time comes, I walk off this field once and for all, proud as to what I've done, with congratulations to whoever the winner is, and then thank you very much. I think I'd like to go ahead and enjoy the rest of life.
This is the man who knows breakfast best. For over 100 years, he has nourished our mornings and seen us on our way. Now he does it with Quaker Oat Squares, a sturdy taste as timeless as the Quaker man himself. Quaker Oat Squares, delicious squares of whole grain oats, hearty oats. Quaker Oats, with a good nutty crunch and a touch of brown sugar. Quaker Oat Squares, from the man who knows breakfast best.
My throat hurts bad.
Ease the pain, my darling. I'll help you through the night.
Doctors recommend Sucrets. Its soothing medicine lasts a long time.
It's time to say goodnight.
A mother's love and children's Sucrets.
Here at the corner of Albany and Constitution, a
You need a V8. One delicious glass of V8 juice provides a serving of vegetables, which is an important part of a balanced diet.
Drink your V8, will you, Frank?
Drink V8. Keep your diet straight.
This morning's health segment is sponsored by Crest, the dentist's choice for fighting cavities. Crest with Fluorostat.
week in our Stress Master series, we've been looking at stress and how some well-known people handle it. And a political campaign is one of the most emotionally and physically stressful events of any lifetime. 4 years ago, Geraldine Ferraro was Walter Mondale's vice presidential running mate on the Democratic ticket. That lost, of course, to Reagan and Bush. And Geraldine Ferraro joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry.
Did you stay up late last night and watch the returns?
Late enough.
Any immediate reaction?
Well, of course, I'm disappointed because I thought this was the 1 year that the Democrats were going to be able to do it. But we did extremely well in the Senate. We picked up a few seats. We've done well in the House, not only maintaining, but pulling a few seats more there. We've done well in the State House races, in addition to that, in Indiana and in Virginia. So, you know, Democrats did well this year despite the loss on the presidential
Not
ticket.
a total loss. Last night, did you remember back? Did you think back?
Yes, I did. You tend to do that. Sure, I thought back to 1984, but it was a different race in 1984 than this one. In 1984, we really didn't expect to win. The best we did was at the time of the convention, we were dead even in the polls, and then we slid back again. So in 1984, on election night, as I faced the people who had worked so hard for me, there was almost relief that the campaign was over because it had been a very, very personal attack campaign. I was glad that was over. I was ready to get on with my life. We worked as hard as we could, and we did the best we could, but it was kind of an insurmountable barrier.
How did you deal, though, with that day-to-day? It was nasty. George Bush and you were going at each other a lot. There was also the continual string of interview after interview after interview, one-on-one with Ted Koppel. He was as tough on you as he's ever been on anybody. How did you cope with all of that?
I took one day at a time. I also did not allow anyone to schedule me for events late at night. I stopped at 8 o'clock because I knew that I needed dinner, I needed a few hours of rest, and I had to get a night's sleep. I didn't mind going very early in the morning, but I did mind working late at night because then I'd make mistakes, and I don't like making mistakes. So I just took one day at a time, and I was glad when it was all over.
Could you be calm? Could you describe your mental state, though, in the midst of all of that? I mean, could you be calm and cool amidst all of that, or was that, I've got to give every ounce of energy I've got and devote it only to this, and just literally get from day to day?
Literally get from day to day, paying attention only to the thing that I was focusing on at the moment. You can't, when you get up to give a speech or when you get up to do an interview, you cannot focus on anything that's personal. You got to focus on precisely what you're doing, especially when you're running for national office. If you make a mistake in an interview during the course of a national campaign, that mistake can be blown out of proportion by the press. So you have to concentrate on what you're doing, and what you do is you just put everything else out of your mind until you're finished with what you're doing that day.
Here, even for you, though, you go away from running for public office, your family, you are still, the bright lights have never gone away. Husband's been indicted, your son in trouble with the law, has gone to jail.
But those are over. I mean,
how do you cope with that?
Let me just tell you. The thing about any of this stuff is that you take a look at what is facing you. And I tend to relate everything to an incident that had happened when I was very, very young. My father died when I was 8, very suddenly. When I come up across any sort of a problem, I guess I related to that. And that's something I couldn't help. Whereas everything else that we have met, we have been able to deal with. There is always something that's going to follow. Another day is going to follow. It will be all over. And I think that that's, being a bit of an optimist, recognizing the fact that it's going to reach an end and that, dear God, something worse could have happened. We're going to get by this thing. I think that's part of it. But I also think the other piece of it is that we have a very, very close family. We have gotten much closer. Each one of the problems has made us closer. And so when you have people around you who are pulling for you, you kind of respond to that.
That may be the key amidst all of the other things that we've placed so much importance on.
Family. Very strong family.
Geraldine Ferraro, so good to see you. Thanks for chatting with us this morning. It's 18 minutes before the hour.
That's it? That's all? You gotta be kidding.
You're done. You sure? If you thought dental cleanings were easy with Tartar Control Crest,
Can't believe it.
they just got easier. Boy, that was fast. Introducing new and improved Tartar Control Crest.
You're all done? No.
The new tartar fighting formula that can actually help stop tartar before it starts. Piece of cake. Tartar Control Crest, the dentist's choice, is now harder on tartar and easier on you. Thank you very much.
It's your son's wedding day, waking up his favorite way. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Nothing brightens your morning like mountain-grown Folgers coffee. Mountain-grown beans have a more enticing aroma and richer flavor.
The aroma's calling you, and the promise of something new.
Thanks, Dad, as always.
You know, everyone says today's the happiest day of your life, but it's not. The happiest day is when your son gets married.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Oh, here she is. So I got up and walked out. You left work early? I told them I couldn't miss my kid's game again. She's crazy. She's brave. What is that? They call it peanut butter. You cut out of work early, then give her that brand? Lighten up, guys. They're all the same. Yeah, and the sky is purple. Smell, Jif. Hey, Jif smells more like fresh roasted peanuts. Oh, if this stuff tastes as good as it smells, I'm in trouble. Oh, I'm in trouble. Jif is the peanuttiest. Great stuff. Outrageous. Though I'm not done to read. You're close.
For more fresh roasted peanut taste, choosy moms choose Jif.
Each and every American presidential election is an international event. Much of the world watches for clues about American foreign policy over the next 4 years, and no one watches more closely than the Kremlin, especially in this era of Gorbachev and improved relations between Washington and Moscow. Joining us live from Moscow this morning is Soviet TV commentator Vladimir Posner. Good morning, Mr. Posner.
Good morning.
What was the immediate reaction of some of the Soviets to the Bush win?
You know, the morning papers came out without any results because, of course, they're printed at night. Nothing was yet there, so there was no official reaction. But people who now know that George Bush has been elected president of the United States seem to be very happy with that. You have to realize that we've had a relationship with Mr. Bush as being vice president, and people don't seem to be worried at all.
Did the Soviets, who do the Soviets think George Bush is? What does George Bush stand for as far as the Soviets are concerned?
Well, you know, I think that he probably, for most people, stands as someone who was part of the Reagan administration. And since during the past 2.5 years there's been a marked improvement in the relationship between the two countries, he's seen as someone who was part of that improvement and who had something to do with engineering it. I think that's the way most people would see him.
Has it ever bothered any of the Soviets that, well, now the man who is the president of the United States was a former head of the CIA?
Not any more than Americans were bothered by the fact that Mr. Andropov used to be the head of the KGB.
So that is no longer an issue. And perestroika will be on course because the Soviets won't really have to worry about how Gorbachev's relations will be with the United States?
I think the feeling is that basically we are going to continue doing our thing. You know, perestroika is not something that's being done for the United States. It's being done because we need it and need it badly. But I think also we believe that because of perestroika, the relationship with the United States has improved. Because of perestroika, we have this much better relationship with President Reagan, and there's no reason to think that now it will change if we continue doing what we've started to do. So in that sense, I think we're confident.
However, George Bush has said over and over again he is for the deployment of Star Wars.
Yes, he has. But I can only give you my personal opinion on this. I believe, let me put it this way, I don't think he believes as profoundly in SDI as President Reagan does. I don't think he believes that it's the kind of 100% defense that President Reagan proposes it to be. And perhaps there was just a little bit of rhetoric involved in that, I'm not sure. And negotiations, of course, will show. But if he is a 100% supporter of SDI, that will continue to create problems insofar as reaching very important agreements on arms reduction is concerned.
Well, are we back to SDI possibly being perceived as more of a bargaining chip in getting maybe a START agreement?
Well, SDI in this country is seen as a dangerous, offensive, not defensive weapon. SDI is seen as something that allows a country to make a first strike and then to protect a country against a weakened retaliation. So I think SDI remains a very, very serious issue, and I don't even know if it's a bargaining chip. I think it has to be seen for what it is.
Bush said that, President-elect Bush said that he wants to meet with Secretary Gorbachev early. Do you think that meeting will happen as soon as January or possibly before he takes office?
Let me put it this way. I think it'll happen as soon as the President-elect wants it to happen. My feeling is that there will be no dragging of feet on the Soviet side. The Soviets will go more than halfway. It depends now on how soon the President-elect actually wishes to meet.
Vladimir Posner, thank you so much for joining us live from Moscow this morning,
Thank you.
as always. 11 before the hour. Harry?
Coming up next, the new look on the Washington social scene when the new administration takes over.
The Christmas ornaments of Hallmark. Hallmark ornaments aren't ordinary decorations. They're special little presents. For your family, your friends, for yourself. Keepsakes that bring back warm memories of wonderful people and wonderful times. You'll find them only at Hallmark, where there's more to Christmas than ever before.
You want to keep your new carpet looking new, but what about the traffic around your home? And what about those unexpected little snags? What? That's why DuPont created Certified Stain Master Carpet, to survive stains and traffic and help keep its new looks. Remember, it's not a Stain Master carpet if it doesn't say DuPont.
Norelco's new coffee makers do more than make coffee. They bring out the best in your coffee. All new coffee makers with System 190, balancing time, pressure, and just the right temperature to bring out all the aroma and richness you look for in every cup. Norelco coffee makers bring out the best in your coffee.
There's nothing like a bowl of Campbell's soup.
My treat?
To warm things up.
That's what Campbell's soups are. Ooh, good.
Anything new about Bisquick?
Well, yes and no.
Same great homemade taste?
Yes.
Happy kitties?
Yes.
Happy families?
Yes.
Cholesterol?
No.
New Bisquick.
Now with no cholesterol.
With the new administration, the Washington social scene will adjust to reflect the new power structure and the personalities in the White House. And joining us live this morning from Washington is a longtime observer of Washington society, writer Sally Quinn. Sally, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So, do you think that Dan Quayle is going to be a sought-after guest at the table?
Well, anybody who's in office is sought after, anyone who has a powerful position, so that I think Dan Quayle, if people can get him to come to dinner, will always be a welcome addition. But I don't think the Quayles are going to have a great deal of influence on the Washington scene, not nearly as much as the Bushes are. You know, for the first time in 12 years, there will be a president in the White House who is not an outsider. We had Jimmy Carter for 4 years and then the Reagans. And what Washington has learned to do, really interestingly, is to set its own social tone. Before that, before Carter, the presidents who came and who were in office really did have a great deal of influence on the tone. I'm not talking just about parties, but sort of sociologically. I mean, the Kennedys, the Nixons, the Johnsons, each one of those people had his own style, and the wives, of course, added a lot to that. When the Carters came in, they had their own style, but they were very much to themselves, and the Reagans, each one of those groups brought in their own people, and the Reagans were very involved with sort of California, the movie stars, the designers, the decorators, a lot of the sort of New York, new moneyed people, a lot of glitz. And now I think with the Bushes, particularly with Barbara Bush, who is a wonderful person and very down to earth, very much her own person, I think what you're going to find is Washington is going to be back to business as usual. I think the Carters and the Reagans, when they leave, they're almost like an occupying army. And when they leave town, there are no footprints. They just don't leave much of themselves. And I think in the last 12 years, Washingtonians have really devised a way to create their own tone and their own atmosphere in a way they didn't before. They really allowed the president and the president's wife to set the tone.
You wrote a novel about all of the goings-on and all the machinations behind the scenes stuff and the positioning and the posturing and all of that. Has Washington been waiting, official Washington sort of been waiting for a change so they can sort of get back into that cycle again somehow?
Well, what Washington waits for is a change, new blood, to see who's in power. I think in this sense, the Bush administration will not be as exciting socially because a lot of those people have been around for years and years and years. And I think if Dukakis had come in, there would have been a lot more excitement because it's just a new energy, a new addition, new blood. But I do think that the Bush people's, I mean, sounds ironic, but I think that the Bush administration will be much more democratic in the way it handles its social events and the kind of social tone, because I think that's the kind of person Barbara Bush is. And I think she's going to have a great deal of influence on who comes to the White House and who's in favor. And I think the kinds of people that she has as friends are people who are just ordinary, nice people who she's known, people from the Hill, people in the Senate. Senate wives like her a great deal. So I think that it won't be nearly as exciting and glitzy as it was during the Reagan administration, but I think it'll be a lot calmer and it'll be a lot more real Washington.
Sally, do you think that the Washington social scene helps set policy?
I think people outside of Washington don't have any idea how valuable the social scene is in Washington. When you talk about social scene, it always sounds so frivolous. But what people don't understand is that it's not, people don't go out for fun. They go out because they're working. This is just an extension of the working day. And when they go out at night, they make contacts, they make deals, they get together with each other, and it promotes communication, particularly when you have a Democratic Senate, a Democratic House, and a Republican administration. Oftentimes, those people have no way to get together or meet each other except at dinner or at night, where they can have informal conversations.
Sally Quinn, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
this morning.
for having me.
5 before the hour, and we'll be back.
Before your tires show uneven wear, have your alignment checked. Or you could be shortening tire life and taking risks. At Midas, trained professionals with the latest technology align your car right. Hey, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
When Mom gets a cough and cold, everyone suffers.
Mom, Dad's ironing.
Time to doctor that cough with Robitussin.
Look, Mom's feeling better. Uh-oh.
Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom.
Hey, the big squeeze is here.
Charmin says, don't hold back. The Charmin's bigger and fatter. It's a roll and a half, and it really does matter. With lots more sheets to last and last. It's more than a roll. It's a roll and a half. So don't hold back. You gotta see it to believe it. A roll and a half. Wait till you feel it. The big squeeze roll from Charmin. It's a roll and a half.
On CBS This Morning, here's a look at your weather.
Don't walk out the door without your umbrella because you may need it on the way back this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, more clouds this afternoon. Had a chance of thunder showers, highs in the mid-70s. I'm Joe Case.
Tomorrow, here on CBS This Morning, Philippine President Corazon Aquino will be with us to talk about her country's relations with this country. And Peter Bogdanovich is going to be talking about the films of Carol Lombard tomorrow.
Also tomorrow, Isaac Asimov, and we're also going to be chatting with Dr. Michael DeBakey about stress. We'll see you tomorrow.
Traditions of the past.
This is the home of our ancestors.
Temptations of the present.
Now don't touch it, do you understand?
The whims of one man.
Help me bring him down.
The evil of many. And only one chance to survive.
Take it.
Are you ready for the equalizer? Tonight. An off-duty cop is cut down.
You use my car on a job?
The Brooklyn Blues want the killer.
Am I gonna get a trial? I'm gonna go straight from here to the electric chair.
Pooley and his clan accelerate their timetable, and Vince could finally discover the truth about his brother's death. Was it murder? Wise Guy tonight.
This is CBS.
On the next Win, Lose, or Draw, the stars are preparing for a dramatic turn of events.
Lights, camera, action!
So get ready for the trip of your life.
I live in Jupiter.
With Alan Alda and smooth Burt Reynolds.
Could I see your hands first before I guess what you do?
The always lovely lady, Lonnie Anderson.
My tribute to Minnie Mouse dress.
And the jovial Jacques.
It's okay, I'll regroup.
Strap yourself in for fun on the next Win, Lose, or Draw.
Win, Lose, or Draw today at 4:30 on Channel 5.
At Kellogg's in Battle Creek, we often get mail about the cereals we make. A few months back, we started getting letters about one we didn't make. People had heard about medical reports saying oat bran could be important to good health and wanted us to make a high oat bran cereal. Here's how we answered our mail. New Kellogg's Common Sense Oat Bran with the highest level oat bran of any ready-to-eat cereal. New Common Sense Oat Bran, a sensible thing to do.
I want my own phone, a credit card, and a room of my very own.
Folk Jordan.
Give it back.
I want those kids to stop fighting. A kitchen big enough to turn around in. And a quiet place to read.
Folk Jordan.
I want a table saw, a drill press, and someplace to put them.
Folk Jordan.
We got just what we wanted.
Move up with Folk Jordan.
The winners and losers today on Midday.
Let's meet the Maestri family. Harold, Barbara, John, Kim, and Ham, ready for action. Playing against the Lorez family. Virginia, Monica, Keith, Christina, and Maria. On your mark. Let's start the Family Feud. With the star of Family Feud,